here now. Can I go and meet him? I've missed him. Want to hug him and kiss him and tell him how sorry I am and how good I will be. If you come straight back, I'll come straight back. Promise. I promise. Go on then, but don't get lost. Stick to the path through the wood and be good. I will be good. Well, what do you know, Pinocchio? Where did you get to? I'm glad I met you. Last night I was hanged by assassins. Hanged by assassins? What's the world coming to? When respectable people like us can't take a walk in the woods without getting robbed. Oh, I wasn't robbed. I'm much too clever for that. Look, I still have my 5 gold coins. Why, so you do. What a piece of luck. And lucky we met you. We must set off at once for the field of miracles. But is it far? Not 2 steps. We're practically there. What's Pinocchio? You can't dissuade us. We are simply determined to do you a good turn. My father. Yes, Pinocchio, that's a good boy. Think of your father. Your poor father. Your poor father. Your poverty-stricken father. Remember, gold coins in the ground take root and grow a tree with golden fruit. That's the field of miracles. Here we are. Here? Yes, here. Now bury your coins deep in the ground. Not too deep. Now turn around. Close your eyes tight and keep them closed. A watched money tree never grows. Count to 100, then open and see. A beautiful flourishing money tree. What if I can't count to 100? Then list all the things you're going to buy. Think of your father, how he will cry for joy
It's bespoke.
Nature stand out from the crowd.
Pinocchio, you've made me proud. Outrageous criminality, outrageous criminality, outrageous criminality, outrageous criminality. Remorse for stupidity. Justice, justice, to the boys of justice.
The people on the shore sing, "Let us see Pinocchio and his father again. Let it be, God of the sea. Amen." And that's the end of Act 1 of Jonathan Dove's opera, The Adventures of Pinocchio, recorded at Sadlers Wells in London in February. Among the cast, we heard Jonathan Summers as Geppetto, Rebecca Bottone as the Cricket, Mary Plazas as the Blue Fairy, Graham Broadbent as the Fire Eater and the Ape Judge, Mark Wilde as the Cat, James Lang as the Fox, Carol Wilson as the Pigeon, and of course Victoria Simmons as Pinocchio. The conductor was David Parry. And by the way, there are some wonderful production photographs available on the Radio 3 webpage. With me in the studio this evening is Victoria Simmons, creator of the role of Pinocchio. And Victoria, it cannot be overestimated. You've created this wonderful and enormous role.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, to have been involved from the word go, really. And I can remember visiting Jonathan Dove's flat to go through some music, just so that he could hear my voice and hear different bits of my voice, and then he'd try out different phrases from the opera that as he was sort of creating it, and so that's really exciting. And then to see it grow and develop and get the score, and then it's gone on.
So you
from
were
there.
really part of the process.
Yeah, I think probably lots of us were, and that's really, really exciting. Yeah, I don't get that very often.
Now, singer to singer, I know that one of the most sort of thought-provoking and well-meaning things that anybody can say after you've done something big. I don't sing big roles like you do, but when somebody says, "Gosh, that was a big sing," I always think, oh dear, if they've noticed that it took stamina, I'm not doing my job properly. Now, I don't want to do this to you, because I didn't realise until I was on my way home that you actually are almost not off stage.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there a time when you are not seen by us?
There are a couple of moments, but there's not very many. And I think, yeah, it's one of these things. After the show, people are just so blown away by the whole thing, but they're also they just can't help but say, "Gosh, how do you do that? How do you get through a whole show? You're never off the stage, And it's true. But I guess when you're asked to play Pinocchio, it's kind of it's what you expect in a way. But I've never played any role. I don't think there is a role like it. Well, actually, there might be in some of the Wagner operas, but I don't know. I've never played any roles like that before, where you're so involved, all the way through. It was physically demanding. Let's say.
But of course the children who come to see it, and the night I saw the opera, there were lots of children loving it.
Yeah.
How have the children been?
It's been absolutely great. I mean, we didn't really know what to expect, because I think a lot of us have never done a show that's been so aimed at children before, and you're wondering in rehearsals whether they're going to be screaming, "He's behind you," at certain points. But they've loved it, and even one little boy who was only 4, who came to see one of the shows in Leeds, he came up to the stage door for my autograph afterwards, and he was just mesmerised. He's looking at me, and eventually plucked up the courage to ask me. He said, "Are you a boy or a girl?"
Oh, bless.
I know, he was so sweet, so tiny, and he'd sat through the whole thing. His mum said he just loved every minute of it, and it was, it's
and that's his introduction to opera.
That's his introduction to opera, and the kids were just brilliant. I mean, they got the whole story. You could tell they were following it, and there were kids of all ages. I mean,
well, there was
babies.
a very, very emotional moment towards the end of Act 1 when behind me, when Pinocchio is hanging from the tree, a little boy said in a very hoarse whisper that made every grown-up's eyes fill with tears, "Is he going to die?"
Oh, I know.
Which seemed just the right reaction, because we knew that you weren't, because you're Pinocchio and you've got to be all right, but he didn't. And I
there were lots of moments where we heard little voices asking Mummy or Daddy something. It was really nice, actually.
Well, at the very end, Pinocchio, he's easily tempted, easily led astray, but he's always kind and brave, and at the end he is so altruistic that he gets the transformation he's always wanted. And it's a very moving and very intimate final scene. How did it feel to play that scene for the first time, to rehearse it?
It was great, actually. The way that Jonathan wrote it, it's just very simple, and I think it is, yes, people do find it very emotional just because it is so simple, and he's just he's amazed. He can't quite believe it. He's sort of...
He's almost speechless, isn't it? Lots of vocalese for the first time. There are
yeah,
no words
that's
from
right.
Pinocchio.
And the words that he says, now a real boy. It's not. Yes, it's. He is almost speechless. And I know when we were first doing it in rehearsals, lots of the chorus got quite emotional and choked up.
Well,
And
so did I when I was watching it, and we will again soon.
Yeah.
Finally, very quick question before we come to the second act. Will you tell me about Pinocchio's amazing nose? Because Jonathan Dove wouldn't. How was it achieved, that magic nose that grew and grew before our eyes?
Well, when you watch it, I tell lies, and then my nose grows, and then the woodpeckers come and they have to peck it off. It's the blue fairy. It's all her doing.
Okay, you're not going to tell me.
No.
All right, I accept it's magic. Victoria Simmons, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
My pleasure.
It's Victoria Simmons who sings the role of Pinocchio, which she created in Jonathan Dove's opera, tonight's performance on 3. We're going to go to Act 2 now, which begins with Pinocchio washed up, all alone in Drudgeland, where he learns about work and does well at school. He visits the Blue Fairy's house, where he's promised a party, but his school friend Lampwick persuades him to head for Funland, which proves a transforming experience. He joins the circus, becomes his old self again, and is swallowed by a big fish. Inside the fish, father and son are finally reunited. And back in the village by the sea, Pinocchio at last learns to work hard for his father, and through his kindness to the Blue Fairy, he gets his heart's desire.
Wet, cold, starving, poor me. And poor father, lost at sea. Spare any change. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty.
Hungry, thirsty. Help me drag my cart, and I'll pay you.
Drag your coat. Do I look like a donkey?
Hungry, thirsty. Swallow your pride. That should fill you up.
What a horrible country! What a horrible, horrible country! Spare any change! Spare any change! I'm hungry! I'm thirsty!
Hungry, thirsty.
to grow so fast. That is a secret. Teach me the secret. I want to grow. I want to grow. You cannot grow. Puppets never grow. They are on puppets. Live puppets and die puppets. I am sick of being a puppet. I am sick of being a puppet. It's time I was a man. What is the secret? I don't know. What's wrong with me? How come some stupid blood tree can grow but not live? Am I always going to be a stupid bit of no good woman? Am I always going to be a stupid bit of no good woman? A stupid bit of no good woman? I could change. I will Tell me how. Tell me how. I want to know. I want to grow. You will know. You will learn. You will be taught.
Teach him, loving boy, teach him. Pinocchio, there's such a lot that you don't know. He can barely come to 3. Never learned his ABC. Teach him, loving boy, teach him.
The 18 spells bad.
Tease him, oh good boy, let's tease him. Hey, you little wooden freak, what are you? Oh, forever drink. You stupid thing. Watch out, a stinking trick. Leave him, oh good boy, let's leave him.
The 18 spells bad. Pinocchio is bad. G-U-D spells good. Pinocchio is good. Oh, it's too hard. I'll never be any good. Patience! Patience! Dear wooden boy, have patience! Pinocchio, the more you know, the more you'll grow. G-O-O-D, good! Pinocchio is good!
Pinocchio is good. Well done.
Learning will be fun.
No, it's not, you little swat.
Come again on a school day.
I'm skipping school.
That's B-A-D.
What haven't you heard about the fish?
What fish?
The big fish. The monster fish. The fish that was there when your father was lost at sea. It's down on the beach.
The monster fish?
Yes.
I'll go and see
monster fish will wait for you to finish school. It'll be too late. Come on, come on, but come on. Maybe he's having a lie down on the seabed.
So, there is no monster fish?
No, there is no monster fish. But it got you out of school. Now, let's have some